Hey, I'm about to give you the best possible screener in the market, and it's going to make sense. Hey everybody, we're back with another $500 5-year Rags to Riches episode, and I want to walk through something that's going to make a lot of sense today. And it's probably one of the hardest parts of the new trading journey, and that's finding opportunities. So let's go ahead and break down what we can do and what we should do. So first things first, a screener is just a way to narrow down all the stocks in the market. There's, tens of thousands of stocks out there, and we don't want to try to trade them all, and we don't want to chase. So it's best to use something like a screener to filter out all the bad opportunities and just consolidate that down into the good opportunities based on the criteria that you like to trade. So for example, if you're someone who likes to trade a lot of momentum, a lot of violence in the market, you might look for something that has low float, high volatility, and high relative volume, because that tells us there's limited supply, right? So the transactions are going to count for more, the price will move more with less volume, and it's got abnormal volume, which means it's getting attention. So that will cause those kind of stocks to move up and down very fast. If you're someone who prefers investing, you're going to look at the fundamental side of things. You might want increasing earnings year over year, increasing revenue and stuff. So we're going to look at that stuff today because this is not a scalping portfolio. I don't want to have, another YouTube guru out there that's just shoving strategy after strategy down your throat. So let's take something that makes sense and that most people can do now that everyone's back to work. It's not COVID time anymore. So first things first, it boils down whatever your stance on the market is. If you want stuff to go up, it all boils down to whether or not a company can make money. Because the executives need to make money, the company needs to make money to keep going, and the shareholders need to make money. So if the company makes money, if the company performs well, the shareholders will make money, stock will go up, right? That's just how it works. It's the basics of economics. I don't think there's any company in the existence of history that doesn't have an efficient business model, has increasing, money every year, and the stock somehow just magically went down, unless it's an inverse ETF, right? It just doesn't make sense. So if we want things to go up, that's where we should look. So let's look at that. So first things first, on TradingView, it's 100% free. You don't need to buy the subscription for the screener. It's not going to hold data back. The only kind of catch about TradingView is if you don't have a subscription, you're not going to get the data packages. So like the lower time frame stuff will have gaps in it. And you'll also be limited to the number of charts and indicators you can have. But if you don't want things to be super complex and technical, or if you're just using it for a screener, then the free one is perfect, right? Because we don't need to pay. I mean, it's a really cool platform, but you don't necessarily need to use it, with the package, right? So first thing we need to look for is we want to kind of constrain things. So if I open up the stock screener, I just click this little tab here. So by default, it's down here on the bottom left. You just click that. And you'll see over here on the left, you've got this kind of, this little drop down here. These are for the columns that you'll see. Like you can see the ticker price, change percentage, change dollar amount, technical rating, blah, 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 blah. There's different configurations of these. I'm just going to leave mine on overview because I think that's the default one, and it doesn't matter, right? We're not really looking at that stuff. We're looking at the filters over here on the right. So if you click the filters button, I'm just going to hit reset all just to make sure I don't have anything set because I want to walk you guys through this from start to finish. You can see it's a lot like every other screener out there. You can see that there are, all elements here, right? That's a lot of information. There's descriptive, which means that we're describing parameters of the stock, like how much volume it has, what kind of market cap it has, what sector it's in, things like that. There's also financials. That's, how you track the revenue, the income, the profits, all that good stuff. And the technicals tab here is more about how the price is behaving. So, and this is similar to how the FinViz screener is set up. But if I want to compare this to like an EMA, for example, I'd go to technical because that's a technical aspect. So first thing we want to look at is going to be the market cap. So we need to isolate this down to market cap. So let's go to descriptive. And you'll see market capitalization here. I like to see this at least above 100 billion. I'm sorry, less than 100 billion. I apologize. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this at less than 50 million because I do like the small companies because they have the highest potential if they're solid. But I want to take this, greater than 2 trillion and bring it down to 100 billion. So we're going to have zero in theory up to 100 billion in market cap. And market cap is just the amount of dollars that a company is worth to the market. Okay, it's just a way to measure the size of a company. It's nothing super crazy, but that's really all we need for this tab, right? For right now, anyway. If you want to filter it by price, you can do that as well. So if you're looking for, you know, shares between $2 and $5, you can just do price between, between here, and then just name your lower limit and your upper limit. So if you're on a smaller account and you can only trade shares that are up to like $20, you do that. But we're not going to worry about that for now because we want to look for potential, right? And everyone has a different account that's watching this, so I'm not going to try to pigeonhole you guys. All right, so the next thing is going to be the earnings. I want to see the earnings positive over time. So if I just go to financials here, or you can leave it on all. It might be easier to leave it on all. Basically, anything that is EPS, I want to change that to positive. I want to make sure it's got positive earnings over time. So basic EPS, I'm just going to do above 0, right? I got to find my keyboard here. It's on the other side of the microphone. EPS diluted, I want to see that above 0. And you don't necessarily have to know what all these are. You can Google them. Investopedia has great articles on them. We teach all this stuff in the PBU as well, the Pennybois University over on the Pennybois side. But we're here, so let's focus on this. So 0. Oops. Yeah. There's a little bit of a lag here. I think it's because I'm recording. Let me just go to the next one here. All right. That's so weird. It's not letting me change this one. My app may crash soon. It's okay. If we miss the quarterly over quarterly, that's okay. So weird. Let me reset this one. That's interesting. Well, we're having technical difficulties. We'll have to circle back to that one. Either way, we don't want it set below 0. We want it above 0. So I'm just going to leave that blank. Upcoming earnings date, I don't care about. Price to earnings ratio, I don't care about. I'm not going to try to set that. Recent earnings date, I don't care about. Right? I just care about how the earnings has performed in recent times. So year over year, month over month, quarter after quarter. There's no month over month earnings. That was a slip of the tongue. We just want to make sure the company's doing well over time and that they're in alignment with their expectations. So the next part is we don't want to trade things that aren't growing. So if we go over here to technicals and we type price, I apologize. We have to go to descriptive for that for some reason. This should be over in technicals, but I get it. We want to trade things that are above like the 200 EMA, for example, because we want to see that the price is higher over a shorter time frame than it is over a longer time frame, which means the price is going up overall. Okay, so I want to see the price above the EMA 200, and then I also want to see that the net income. So I'm going to go back to financials here, and I'm going to type net in. Whoop, I got to go back here. I'm sorry, something's weird with my computer right now. Sorry about that. So net income, I don't want to see anything negative, right? So I'm going to set that up to 50 million, and then as high as it'll go, basically, because we want to make sure that the company is doing well. And we're going to do the same thing we did before for the earnings, and we're going to set all the net incomes to 0, above 0, sorry. Above 0. And this just makes sure that we want the company growing, right? We want to make sure that they're making a lot of money over time. It's not all money they get to keep. That's just net income, which brings us to the next part. We want to look at the profit. So after we set a net income, I hate this thing. TradingView, this is not a TradingView problem. TradingView is very easy to work with, but for some reason my computer's just weird. Let me see if it's this notification business getting in the way. All right, so I'm going to set these the profits, I'm sorry. So gross profit, I want to see that above 0. I'm going to set this to above 0 as well. Gross profit TTM, year over year growth. And this we're all setting the same thing here. We just want to make sure that the company is growing over time. And we want to set this gross profit fiscal year above 0 as well. And we can set the gross margin. You don't really have to set that one, but let's just do it for the sake of being thorough. So profit above 0, net income above 0, price above the 200 EMA. So we're looking for things that have strength. So far, just to recap really quick, we've put a cap on the larger cap stuff, right? We don't want to necessarily trade just blue chips because they are slow and they're stable. But we also want to mix things up a little bit with some shorter term growth, right? So we can really escalate things safely. So earnings, all positive. We want to see earnings growing over time. We want to see the price above the average price over a long period of time to make sure it's going up over time. Net income, positive. Profit, positive. And that should narrow those tens of thousands of stocks down to what we have here, which is 108 stocks, right? So yeah, it's 108. So that's pretty easy, right? All we did is click a few buttons, and actually think I'm missing one. I usually have 22 set, but this is fine, right? I don't really care. It's close enough, right? The concept is the same. We're getting things from a lot of noise, a lot of decisions, down to a few decisions, and 108 is still a lot. So let's set one more filter now that I remember what it was. So we're going to go to the descriptive here, and we're going to go to the exchange, right? Because I'm personally not interested in trading over the counter, no OTC. So I'm going to set NYSE ARCA, Nasdaq, and NYSE. Okay, and that's going to take that number of 108, bring it down to 90. Okay, so we're already in a good spot. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on the top one. Actually, let me turn this off too, because as I refresh, it's set to refresh every 10 seconds, but as it does that, it's going to reset this list, and I'll have to click on things. So if I click the top one here, go all the way to the bottom, I hold shift, right? That'll highlight everything. If I shift and then click on that last one, it'll select them all. I can right click, and I can say add to selected watch list. I don't have a watch list set up, so I'm just going to do this in theory. If you need a watch list, you just go over here and click this button, hit the plus button, and then you can add symbols, and you can create a watch list and all that good stuff from here. So for the sake of keeping this video short, I'm not going to make a whole watch list and all that good stuff. So you'd right click here, add to selected watch list, and then you would just go down one at a time, right? And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look at the weekly time frame, and I'm just going to bring this down a little bit. And as you have your watch list up, okay, if I see something that I like this one here, it's kind of decent, right? Oh, one more thing. Sorry, I'm going to filter by price, right? We want to do ascending price just to make sure that we that things make sense. So if you click this button right here, this column header, it'll sort these by type or by price in ascending or descending order. So if I look at UGP, for example, this one has potential, right? We can see that there's a lot of room here to the upside, and we know that this company is strong, but we might want to wait for a pullback. So this one, we could just click this little ribbon here. And if you're on the free one, you might not have all these selections, and that's okay. If you just flag it, or you can write it down, or you can add it to a watch list in Webull or some other platform or program, right? It doesn't have to be all in the same app. All that matters is that you're consistent, right? So UGP is one that I want to keep an eye on, right? But let's say I want to watch. I want to wait to see what happens. I want to see a pullback here, right? Ideally, this is what I'd like to see, a little pullback here and then a push, okay? So this is something I can watch for the future. Remember, each of these candles is a week's worth of price action. I don't want to just buy it up here and then hope it keeps going, right? I want to wait for some sort of reasonable entry. Even though it has potential, I don't want to just chase it because it's, it's starting to take off, because that's how you hurt yourself. Then I go to JBI, for example. This one is nice and choppy, and we're seeing some higher lows. This is decent, but I'd like to see it break out of this range and then retest from above and then push, right? So this one, maybe, right? I like it, but we'd have to look at a lower time frame for the entry, so I would go ahead and add that one too. LADR. This one is beautiful, right? There's nothing up here getting in the way. Okay, we got heavy momentum off here to the left, which means unresolved price action. A lot of room to run. This one is beautiful. I'm probably going to trade this pretty soon. And we're getting a nice little range here with slightly higher lows. So this is good. I like this one. I like it a lot. We're seeing an ebb and volume at resistance, which is, you don't have to be a technical guru here. There's a lot of potential for this one to go up, a lot of potential for it to go down too. But if we wait for a reasonable entry on a lower time frame, set a nice tight stop loss just in case we're wrong, or wait for a break above all this crap, that's an easy trade. So that's something I would definitely put on a very short watch list and just keep checking it. Not every 5 minutes, but once a day I'd look at it and say, okay, is it holding a support on a lower time frame? Is it showing me what I'd like to see? Like right here, we got a nice little support here. We could try to trade this multiple times. If we wanted to, we could put a level right here. We could take an entry right here, and we could set a target, primary target anyway, up here. And then if you look at the weekly time frame, that's small potatoes, right? We're still in the chop here. So that's a reasonable short-term trade, and it's based on the daily time frame. So easy peasy, right? And I looked at this, I think, last week, and it's already up. I mean, it was here, and now we're up here only about 20 cents or so, but that's okay, right? Because we're trading these on a lower time frame, and when these get rocking and rolling, they get rocking and rolling pretty hard. So that's all I'm looking for. ARCO, this one's already kind of run. Again, it's one that does have potential, but let's wait for this flag to resolve or a retest and then a push, right? So this is one we'd put on a longer watch list that we can look for a better entry. GBDC, let's take a look at this. This one is pushing. I like this one. It's got a nice tight level right here we can watch. We could take an entry right here, and we got an immediate take profit here and another one up here. So that's an easy setup for a trade. We don't have to trade everything, right? But these are very directional trades that we can just look for reasonable entries on. And we know the company's strong over time. This one's already run, right? For what it is, right? It still has potential, but we have a resistance level right here. There's no reason to try to trade this right now, right? We got a resistance here. Entry would be right here. Stop loss would be way down here. That's disproportionate risk to reward. We don't like that. We want to see the reward up here disproportionately in comparison to the size of the risk, right? So we can wait on this one. We want to retest and then a push, but it's going on my longer term watch list. DFH, we've traded the hell out of that one. We got a nice little impulse, a retrace, and then a pull up, and it looks like we're finding a resistance right here. So we can watch this range right here for a break. So if we see a retest down here and a push, that's an easy double bottom setup. We can trade the breakout. If it falls below that, we obviously need to wait for it to come down here or down here and rediscover where it wants to hang out, right? We also have a level right there. So for this scenario, since it's already up, right, we haven't had a lot of price action above this line in the duration, the existence of this company since, 2021, okay? Company's been out 2 years, maybe 3 years. Price has only been up here a little bit, okay? So even though it has potential, we want to look and see where it's been, where it's likely to go. This one has already run. There's no reason to try to trade this one. We can just skip on it. I like it. Maybe we can look for some other opportunities on it, but this is not going on a short-term watch list, okay? It's not something I'd buy right now. This one's pretty decent. It's got a lot of chop, obviously. The only issue that we're seeing here is the lower highs, right? We're seeing selling pressure stepping the price down. Even though we're seeing short-term higher lows, that's great, but this just looks a little bearish to me. So anything I'm not confident in, I don't need to trade, right? That's the whole point. We're just looking for reasons to take this number 89 and bring it down, right? And we're just doing a quick skim, right? You'll get a little practice and it'll be easier over time, but this is a flag. It's already run. There's no reason to try to trade that. CLS, it's already run, right? There's nothing there that we can try to trade comfortably unless we look very far out. Okay, it spent most of the time down here. Price is likely to return down here. There's no reason for us to jump into this yet. It's not going to be a short-term turnaround. Same thing here, right? Price is flagging and it looks like it's breaking up, but we have a level here that's currently being retested. And then if that pushes up, we can take a trade. Otherwise, it's overextended and likely to fall back down. Okay. So we're just looking for things that haven't run yet that have potential. That's already run. We don't need that. It's in retrace. PGTI, that's already run. It's over recent highs. We don't really care about that. CVI, it's in the chop, but it's kind of in a heavy area of chop. I don't like the way this looks. We can skip that one. And eventually we'll get this 89 down to like maybe 6 to 10 that we can identify as short term, and we can just trade those. This one here looks good. It's a little choppy though, right? It's got higher lows. I like it, but it needs to clear over this stuff. So maybe we look for trades on the shorter time frames like the hourly or the daily, right? For this one. Halliburton, we love this one. We've traded the hell out of it. We got a nice strong support line. We could just trade bounces off of that all day long. Very easy to trade. It's got a lot of potential to the upside, but we have a kind of a hard resistance up here in the 52 range. So maybe this is one we'd just trim a little early, right? We can still trade the chop. We can trade the support line. For those who aren't familiar, we've got a support line right there. So basically every time it comes back and touches this and we see a confirmation or some sort of color change, for example, like when a green candle engulfs a red one, that would be an entry with a tight stop below that low, okay? Simply good. Another one that's very easy to trade. We're getting higher lows. We're pushing up this resistance here. This is the anticipated break. A lot of growth potential in this one. Rollins, LPG, you get the idea, right? We're just kind of going down the list here, and we can see the price here is in the $40 range. So if you're on a small account, you can only trade shares that are $20. You don't even have to look this far, right? You would have had like 5 already that you could trade. Okay, and that's all you need, just a handful of tickers. You don't need all 10,000 tickers, and you don't need a portfolio with 180 positions, okay? This one, I would not touch, right? It's already run. We can see that there's no reason to try to justify that this is going to keep going, right? It may, and confirmation bias and hindsight will beat you up if you let it, but what is the risk here, right? The risk is that we enter here, we maybe test or break a new high here, and our stop loss is down here, right? It's just unhealthy. So why take that risk? We can pass on it, or we can trade it to the downside. This one here, it's got higher lows, but it also has lower highs short term. We need to wait for that wedge to break. Okay. And the process just goes on and on and on. This video is currently 20 minutes long, so I'm going to go ahead and end it here. But hopefully this makes sense. So just to recap really quickly, right? We want to look for strong companies where things make sense, okay? And hopefully this all makes sense, because remember, companies go up over time. When the company makes money, the executives make money, and the executives take care of the shareholders, right? That's our job. Therefore, we need to look for potential companies, which means we don't necessarily want the super blue chip stocks that are super stable and slow. If we're looking for more short-term trades, right? We still want the high potential for pops and bigger moves. We got to look at earnings. We got to look at the income, the price, and the profit over time. So earnings, we want everything positive above zero. And one other thing you can do is when you pull this up here, I'll have to find the tab. Where is it? Where'd it go? I'm sorry, I have to change my columns here. Let's look at balance sheet, right? If we look at the balance sheet, oh, I apologize. It's probably on the other thing. I'm going to go ahead and end this one here. Yeah, okay. So that's another video, and it's going to get into a little more in-depth stuff. But again, it's nothing super complicated. I just don't want to make this video any longer than it is. So executive decision time. Okay, so recap real quick. Market cap, less than 100 billion. Earnings, positive. Everything earnings, positive. Price, we want that above some sort of average. I prefer the 200 EMA for the weekly time frame, but it really just depends on what you're looking for. Net income, you want above zero, right? So 0 or above to infinity. Profit, you want all those above zero. You want positive profit over time. Quarter over quarter, year over year, all the good stuff. You take all those results, should be around 100 or 140, roughly. You take those, add them all to a list. So you click the first one, you shift click the last one, you right click, you go add to watch list, and then you just start going down one at a time and just glancing at the charts. If anything seems off, if it doesn't pass the sniff test, you move on to the next. If you see something you like that hasn't run already, you click the little ribbon here and it adds it to the watch list where you're going to look a little bit deeper into that company. And then you're going to pick the best of the best out of those and just trade those, right? You just trade those with a tight stop. You don't have to build your positions down. You don't have to dollar cost average or any of that stuff. You simply wait for a confirmation. You see a confirmation, you buy it, you place your stop loss immediately, and you let it run, okay? It might not run 600% in a day, but it's going to run to where it needs to run to, whether that's up or down, okay? So the goal here is we pick the ones that have high potential, that are capped in size, so they have high potential to push farther and outperform the blue chips, and then we're letting them expand to where they belong, right? So that's our job as traders, and our job above that is to manage risk, and that's all we're doing by, you know, position size management and all that good stuff. So if you're someone who wants to do this, I would personally, like, again, I can't tell you what to do, and I never will, but I would personally, if it were me, I would still abide by, you know, 70% of the portfolio into passive income, 30% into stuff like this, right? So maybe you take 20% of your portfolio and you put it into these longer term, more stable growth positions, right? And then that still leaves you 10% for, you know, day trading, scalps, all the fun stuff, right? Or if you just want to roll special dividends like I am, you can do that as well. But it's up to you. It's your decision. When you make it big or when you fail, I will have never pushed a buy or sell button for you, nor will I have ever told you what to do, right? So when you find success, which I hope you do, and you should, as long as you're able to find, you know, consistency and all that good stuff. If you're not, please let me know. Talk to me. I can help you out. But when you find that success, it's not going to be me who's done it for you. It's you. So make sure you look in the mirror and say, thank you, self. And then remember that you're doing stuff like putting time into watching these videos and practicing and, you know, connecting the dots and making sure things make sense. It's not me doing it. So I'm just giving you the dots. So with that said, I'm going to end this right here, right now, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you and goodbye.